Welcome to the Dalles Chamber of Community Affairs. Today, our guest is Scott McKay and Tracy Morgan. We have representative from the Alzheimer's Association, but also Scott with Circles of Care and Age Plus, along with the Dementia for Wasco County. There's efforts there, so they'll be giving, I think, a few updates for that. But before we begin with that, we're going to go around the room and introduce ourselves like normal. You, your organization, and I promise if you keep it short, you can tell us a little bit about what's happening with your organization. So Dan, that does not mean a summary from last night. Just gonna say that right off the bat. That's for another day. But we do want to hear updates from you guys. So we're gonna start with Bill Lennox.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Lennox, and I'm with the Six Rivers Dispute Resolution Center and also with the North Central Public Health District, and I'll keep it short.
Thank you. Dan Spots, go ahead.
Thank you, Lisa. I promised no summary last night because I was not able to make it, so I don't know how it went. I'm anxious to find out myself. All right. We're launching our brownfield program. This is a EPA-sponsored program to identify old gas tanks, asbestos in buildings, things like that. We have we've received 3 proposals for a technical contractor and are proceeding with review of those. Hope to have a selection early March. How's that?
Look at you. All right. Phil Brady.
Good morning, Phil Brady, Wasco County Commissioner. 2 things regarding McKay. One, as we've elected a new interim director to replace Kenny LaPointe. Her name is Leslie Naramore. She was previously director of WAGAP, which is the same organization on the Washington side of the river. So she is coming in with a lot of experience. Other thing going on at McKay is the cold shelters are open both down at the annex, and they have some of the rooms there being open for cold shelter, but that's full. And they've also activated the pallet shelters at the Gloria Center. And I think they had 7 on Monday night, 15 Tuesday night, maybe I got a day off on that. And they'll be open until the weekend, and then they'll see what happens then. That'll be my check-in.
Thank you. Rob Garrett.
Good morning, Rob Garrett, Mid-Columbia Senior Center. I thought I would like to see what Scott had to say since he does it here at my building. So make sure I'm on the same page. Same business as usual at the Senior Center. We're busy as ever. Check the calendar out on midcolumbiaseniorcenter.com. And anybody of any age can come down and enjoy what we do here. Even someone as young as Scott McKay could come in anytime, Scott. And if Scott happens to tell us what he's serving Saturday night for bingo at dinner, that would be great too. Just slip that in when you get a chance, Scott. Thank you very much.
Brian Tuck.
Brian Tuck. Hey, I was down there at the Gloria Center Monday night, and I stayed awake till midnight, which was a minor miracle. So, hey, those guys do a great job. I'll tell you. You know, a lot of people come in. They got some really serious issues, and bless their hearts, everyone just bends over backwards to help out. The most important thing is that we're on baby alerts. Our daughter, who was due yesterday, is due any moment here. So we're getting excited. She lives here in the Dalles, and we watch their 2 little boys. So we're getting ready for launch here. So anytime, any place, and probably in the middle of the worst weather of the day. So go figure. So here we go.
Isn't that the way it always works?
Of course. That's how life is.
Yes, exactly. All right. I think I have everybody introduced except for our guest. So with that, Tracy, I'm going to turn it over to you. And once again, thank you guys for being here. This is being recorded, so we're going to share it out for you to other people. It's linked in our e-blast. It's on our YouTube and all those different things. And give us a month. We're going to try something different with getting this information out there. So be on the lookout for that. We're trying some new things with our blog. And our speakers, so that we can get a little bit more traction with all the efforts that you guys do to present to us. So with that, Tracy, thank you so much. And I'm going to let you take it from here. Look, I do have one question. Are you okay with people asking questions during your presentation, or do you want them to wait till the end?
It would probably be better at the end, but actually I don't care. Whatever y'all want.
Okay.
Yep.
So if it's absolutely go, you need to ask a question, raise your hand, and I'll make sure that Tracy sees that and we address it. If not, we will ask at the end.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here with you today. Scott and I are going to kick off a presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and get that up and ready, and then we will start everything. Let's see. What are you seeing now? There you go. You got it. All right. Well, I am going to pass the torch actually to Scott and let Scott kick this off.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak before you regarding the Alzheimer's Association and the dementia-friendly Wasco County Partnership. That's what I'm calling it. I want to go through this my slides quickly so we can get to the important stuff that Tracy wants to present. But a real quick history: the Aging in the Gorge Alliance in 2018, because of the work of Bretta Wilson, who was a older adult behavioral specialist for Gobi. She put together she applied to Dementia Friendly America to get acknowledged as a dementia friendly community for the Gorge. And that was done successfully. But then during COVID and when we were down, that kind of fell to the side. So after we started getting back up after COVID, we started to re-energize that effort. And I wanted to particularly focus on Wasco County because the previous effort was basically focused in Hood River, because most of the people who were participating were folks from Hood River. So we got it going again, thanks to the Aging in the Gorge Alliance. We had a presentation by Ronnie Hyde, I think in 2023, at the Mid-Columbia Senior Center, and she did a 6-part presentation called Getting to Know Dementia, based on the works of Teepa Snow. And that was very successful. And once again, one of our partners is the Mid-Columbia Senior Center, because Rob has been very supportive in providing space for our meetings and help promote what we're doing. The other piece is the Circles of Care. As the community liaison, we have one volunteer who has dementia and another volunteer who has mild cognitive impairment. Plus, we have 5 members who do have dementia that we are supporting. So it's really important to us at the Circles of Care to have the support for those folks. We've been talking about it, and then 2 things particularly happened that kind of really got us moving. One was Randy Haynes acknowledged his dementia with Lewy body. He has Lewy body dementia, and we had been meeting just casually, just getting together after he retired. But he increased the more people became aware of dementia and how even if you have dementia, you can still live well. And Randy was a wonderful example of that. And Randy and I and one of my volunteers, we still meet Fridays, every Friday that we can, just to chat and just talk. Then the second thing was when Tracy and the Alzheimer's Association received a grant to reach out to rural communities. And Tracy can speak more to that. But with those 2 things happening at the same time, and Randy and getting together with Tracy, Randy if you will recall, that had the 30-year anniversary of Neon Nights that Randy and Tracy and the Alzheimer's Association put on, and raised over $10,000 and was a tremendous success. With that, Bobby, and I can't remember her last name, Bobby and Tracy, Randy's wife, they did a little side fundraiser, and we raised over close to $5,000 for local activities regarding dementia friendly. And we did not have any place to hold that money, and the Rotary of the Dalles stepped forward to do that. So we have many partners in the community to make sure that this dementia-friendly and education regarding dementia and Alzheimer's takes place. Next slide, Tracy. We have been meeting, and once again with Tracy and the Alzheimer's Association, we've been having nice turnouts, and we have identified a mission statement and values. And I'll just read the mission statement real quick, since I know you guys can read, but to increase dementia awareness, reduce stigma, and provide quality dementia-friendly resources, education, and support for people living with dementia and their care partners. And the values are there also. Next, Tracy. We have 5 key messages, and they really spoke to me, and they came from the Dementia Friends program. And basically, I think we all need to understand that dementia is not a normal part of aging. And Tracy in her presentations will kind of emphasize, we'll go over some of this also. Dementia is caused by diseases of the brain, and it's not just about losing memory. First time I met with Randy, he talked about the frustration of people when he told people he has dementia, and they would say, oh yeah, you know, there's many times I can't remember things also. And he said he didn't get mad, but it's more than memory. It can affect your body, you know, how you balance, and it's more than just memory. And as Randy points out, and all those people living with dementia, it's possible to live well with dementia. The challenges, but you can still live well with dementia. And there's more to the person than dementia. Dementia does not take away the dignity of an individual. Is how we treat someone or approach someone who's living with dementia. Okay, next one, Tracy. So we have had several meetings to brainstorm about what we can do within the community in 2025. We came up with some great ideas, but we narrowed them down to community education, support, and respite care. Education is community presentations to service clubs, churches, businesses, and this is where we really take advantage of all the tremendous resources that the Oregon and Southwest Washington Alzheimer's Association has. And so that education is a key piece. And then as support, we have held one memory cafe. That's where those living with dementia and their care partners can just get together, do activities, and socialize, and just enjoy each other's company. And we want to do a second one and continue those starting in April. If you know anyone who has dementia and their caregiver, a lot of times, many people don't realize that the Oregon Veterans Home has a caregiver support group that meets once a month. I can't tell you the exact time, but if you get a hold of me, I can find that for you. And then we want to develop a list of Wasco County dementia-specific resources. Tracy will show you how you can go to the Alzheimer's webpage and find many of those resources themselves. And then the big tough one, the heavy lift, is respite care. In Hood River, they have a Sunshine Club that provides, I think, up to 8 hours a day of respite care, so that those living with dementia can be supported and cared for, while their care partner can take a break and do other things. So we want to try to establish something like that in the Dalles Sunshine Club in Hood River. I mean, they started from just volunteers 4 hours a week 20 years ago. So we know it's going to take us a while. And next one, Tracy.
It's me, I think.
Oh, okay. Yep, that's it. Okay, now we get to the good stuff. Thank you, John.
Well, thank you, Scott. And it has been such a pleasure working with you and Rob, and excited to be here with you all today. Lisa, I am going to rely on you if there's someone who raises their hand or wants to. I can't see the participants when it's in screen share, so just jump in and interject. But just want to first start by saying, Scott touched on it a little bit, but I'm Tracy Morgan. I'm the executive director for the Alzheimer's Association for Oregon and Southwest Washington. And in that job, I get to travel all over the state and really bring hope and progress to those communities, whether that be in education, support groups, many of the things that we're going to share today. But what really kicked off a great momentum for us was a significant donor that stepped forward and gave us a grant to come into 7 rural counties. We got to select the counties that we are going to work with. And really it was a 2-year project. We are in year 2 of it that just started in January. And really it's been a great opportunity to really just be more present in the communities, bring more resources to the community. And ultimately that's what it's all about, bringing more resources and connections into those communities. So the presentation I'm going to share with you today is really something that we are getting out in all of the communities as an awareness presentation. This is kind of an entry-level presentation to start sharing what the association does and can provide for people living with this disease. But in addition to those living with this disease, to all of us in that brain health space. And then from there, we have a whole slew of offerings for education, but this is kind of one that we are looking to get more into businesses and rotaries and chambers and all of that. So it's going to kick us off. So this association was started by our founder, Jerome Stone. Jerome started this organization for his wife, Evelyn, who had the disease. It was very important to him at the time that the association centered on both care and support and research. That is very unheard of, or not necessarily unheard of, unlikely to even today in a lot of nonprofits. They choose either care and support or research, but not both. I'm happy to say that Jerome's vision when he started this in the 80s still remains true today. So we do work with that, both that care and support, and then also the future and the research. Our mission is really 3-pronged. We're accelerating global research, driving risk reduction and early detection, and maximizing that quality care and support. As we dive into things, I want to quickly just share, there is a slew of information that you can find on really just diving into the facts and figures that surround this disease. They're startling. There are so many. I think in your community, you bring a story and a picture to light with Randy and several others that are living with the disease that are willing to share their journey. I generally tell people to look at the statistics. I know you can't see them all. It's probably much smaller than my eyes can see in the morning. But choose one, choose 2 that really resonate with you, and let that be the point at which you jump off and start sharing some of this information. All of our facts and figures, from left to right here, you've got our nationwide facts and figures with nearly 7 million people living with the disease. In the middle, you've got a full report on the facts and figures, including a special report. And then on the right, there are state fact sheets for every state in the country. We have 79,000 people living with Alzheimer's in Oregon. This report is published every March. So you will get a blast of information next month because there'll be a new exciting report out that we will hope that you will take into the communities and share with other people to help spread awareness around the disease. So just as some level setting, we're going to quickly go through a couple of these, but what is dementia? A lot of people get confused with the word dementia and Alzheimer's. Dementia is really that umbrella term. Even at the association, we call ourselves the Alzheimer's Association, but our long name is Alzheimer's Association and other related dementias. And that is really because Alzheimer's is generally 60 to 80% of those cases of dementia that we see. But we know that there's Lewy body, frontotemporal, vascular, and then there's also mixed dementias. So you all have, obviously with Randy, a lot more experience in some communities with Lewy body. But this is definitely an umbrella term and helping you get prepared for discussing different kinds of dementia. So what exactly is Alzheimer's? and Scott touched on this a little bit, but it's a brain disease. It causes problems and it goes far past the memory. It's memory, it's thinking, it's behavior. It's basically those things that start to interfere with your daily tasks. So it is a disease. It is a progressive disease. The symptoms are going to worsen over a number of years. And it generally gets classified into different stages. So early stage, middle stage. But as the disease progresses, these individuals will need around-the-clock care, and the disease is ultimately fatal. So what does this mean for families? This absolutely takes a toll on the families in that physical, emotional, social, and financial toll. This is something that you can see in your communities when you start to learn about people that are affected by this. But it also takes a toll in the workplace. And that's one of the things that we'll be doing as we come into our communities. We are looking to present to a lot of different businesses. Businesses have a need to get involved in this in the workplace. We know that 6 in 10 caregivers of people with Alzheimer's or other dementia were employed. And they either are or have had time providing care. So this kind of just shows you some of those things that they're juggling, which ultimately leads to absenteeism. And that looks different for a lot of different people. But we know that, these duties that they take on as a caregiver really encompass and get in the way of some of the things that they need to perform in a workplace. We know that nearly half or a quarter, of caregivers are in that sandwich generation. So not only are they taking care of an aging loved one, but they have children at home under the age of 18. So this kind of shows you what it looks like in the workplace and how it presents itself. So maybe people are going in late or they're having to leave early. Maybe they went from a full-time job to a part-time job because that was easier for them to manage their role as a caregiver. Some have to take a leave of absence. Some retire early, give up on their career to really take care of their loved ones. So lots of different ways this presents in businesses. So businesses have a huge opportunity to really make sure that their employees feel supported, whether that be through flexible schedules, bringing lunch and learns in, helping them understand that they are part of this solution for them, as opposed to making them feel that they need to enter into that retirement or different areas. So we also know that not only is this affecting our families, it's affecting our workplace, but we have populations that are at higher risk for this. So our Black Americans are twice as likely to end up with Alzheimer's or another dementia. Hispanic Americans are 1.5 times. And almost 2/3 of Americans living with this disease are women, on top of also being caregivers for this disease. So what can we do as a community? When we start to look at these things, at the association, one of our hallmarks is around education and really bringing education to communities. So one of those very first classes that we offer in communities is our 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's. Scott and I together hosted a mini McGinty conference. Mini McGinty is, we've been doing a McGinty conference in Portland for over 25 years. And that conference started up based on a geriatrician who really was outside of his time, spending time with families, answering questions, taking time on weekends and evenings to really help families through the disease. We honored him with a conference in Portland. And this year, actually last year, we started traveling and we started bringing mini McGinty's. So we did one in the Dalles, and we offered this class, the 10 warning signs. So this is just one of the few classes that we offer, and I'll show you some more in a minute. But this is one that really helps community members understand what to look for. This is great for churches, for group gatherings, for your neighbors, for businesses. What does it look like when someone is starting to see these? And just because if you're looking at this right now and you see you have 1, 2, or 3 of these things, it does not mean that you're developing Alzheimer's or dementia. These are signs to look for to start having some conversations. So we know today the importance of early detection is just can't even be stressed enough. You really need to pay attention to those changes in your memory, thinking, and behavior. You need to start having those conversations with a doctor, trusted family members, or a friend. And really that early detection is so important because it gives you opportunity to plan for the future, explore those treatment options, participate in clinical trials, and it involves the person with dementia in those important discussions. So how do they live well with this disease? And how do they be part of that future care that is needed? When looking at early detection, we also quickly look at treatments. Current medications cannot cure Alzheimer's. So there currently is no cure for Alzheimer's, but there are two exciting new drugs out on the market, which we've never had before. This is very recent, within the last several years. Both drugs that are on the market today really help people that are in the mild cognitive impairment, or MCI, or early stages of the disease, who have amyloid in their brain, an excessive amount of amyloid in their brain. So these two drugs are both available now, but again, are only good for people in the early stages of the disease. So this really stresses the importance of continuing the work and research and on all fronts of what we have to do. I have a board member at our chapter who is in the early stages of the disease, but she has excessive tau in her brain. So that tau, these drugs, she's not eligible for because she doesn't have that excessive part of the amyloid in her brain. So it really just stresses the importance of continuing that research and what is needed. Another great thing that we can bring to businesses, as well as to just all of us, how do we reduce the risk of dementia? So we have a program called the 10 Healthy Habits for Your Brain. It's really looking at all of these, whether we be challenging our mind with something new, staying in school, learning something new, you know, that eating right. What kind of diet are we doing? Are we staying away from those processed foods? You know, I have young children. Protecting your head. I'm always stressing to them to get that helmet on when they're on the scooter or on their bike. These things all work together. And we know that up to 40% of dementia cases could be prevented or delayed if we target these modifiable risk factors. Very exciting this year are at our international research conference that will be held in Toronto. We will have the first readout of the results of the US Pointer study, which is the first study of its kind that really targeted these modifiable risk factors. So we're really excited to see where science will bring us with you know, delaying the onset of dementia and what this can do for people. So continuing to make a difference in the community, there's several ways we do this in rural communities. So this is really where I'm going to dive into what is present in Wasco County. So we have a 24/7 helpline. This is available for everyone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The importance of this is several things. It is in over 200 languages. It is there in the middle of the night. It's there whenever people need it. So when mom has been up for the 4th or 5th time, this is an opportunity for someone to call and talk to someone that can really help them through the process. This is designed to be, it's really a triage system. So it's everything from information and referral right through triage for crisis and can help them with that information. All of our education and support is free to communities and individuals. So there's many different ways that you can get involved in that education. Our education classes are live in community and we'll be kicking off in your community soon, which I will be sharing in a couple slides. But in addition, it's also available in webinar style with a live instructor. So anyone can hop on to one of our classes. It's taught by an instructor, or it's on demand. So it's always there. So if it doesn't work until 9 or 10 o'clock for someone to sit down and take advantage of this information, it is available for them when they need it. A lot of times this information is complex and they need to hear it 1, 2, or 3 times. So maybe they'll go to a live class and then they'll do an on-demand class to really look at that information again. This slide really just shares with you the different information we have around caregiving, education, support. So this first one on the left is our Empowered Caregiver series. And this really is just a lot of different classes to help people through the process of caregiving. It also has, our Know the 10 signs, our healthy living for your brain and body, managing money, which is an important thing for families to start thinking about. So a lot of these classes in their Empowered Caregiver series will be coming to your community over the next several months. I briefly talked about the McGinty Conference, but that is held every year in Portland. And that is in November. And then we do mini McGinty conferences. The first year we started out, we did 4 of them. This year we are doing 15 of them. So just traveling to all different communities, getting this information out. And we will be doing that again in your community, but we kicked off the series with your community. Rural update and chapter update. So these are 2 different newsletters that our chapter locally puts out each month. If you've been to our presentations or if you want to be part of this, just let me know. But basically we send out one for our rural communities that really talks about, there's generally a message in there from me. There's our latest educational programs. In this rural one, it's all going to be those webinar based and on demand so that they really get that information. Community spotlights, when we did Randy's big event, we spotlighted Randy, and then a lot of different resources in there.
Tracy?
Yep.
Actually, we have a question from just a little bit back. Are you aware if physical trauma is a contributor to early onset dementia, like major car crashes or loss of limbs, something like that to your body or system?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. Trauma plays a big part in it. It really sometimes depends though. I would say brain trauma for sure. That's, back to even that 10 healthy habits, protecting your brain. But we do know that there's a lot of evidence and research around traumatic brain injuries and things of that nature. But even in the progression of the disease, at any point, trauma can play a significant part of it in progressing or speeding up the path of the disease or the onset of the disease. So I would say absolutely. And a lot of great information on that. You will find alz.org, our website, is just a wealth of information. So you can always go on there and, just search for something, and a lot of things will come up around trauma or, different white papers or just different topics that you can do. Also, in July, our research conference, AAIC, has a lot of things that you will also hear around researching areas like that.
Okay, well, we got one more question, and that might be able to be answered on your website, but we'll go ahead and ask. Is genetic testing able to identify risk factors early in life?
Genetic testing is a component of this. There is a gene, the ApoE3, ApoE4, that can lead to letting people that they have a more significant risk of developing this disease. It will tell you about basically your significance in developing the disease. I wouldn't say necessarily those risk factors in the beginning. The risk factors are what you're trying to prevent, the modifiable risk factors that you're looking at to help delay or never move into those symptoms.
All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely. And we'll have hopefully some time, 2 more to end any questions you have, and we're almost there. So the last couple slides, and I'll just briefly share them with you, is what our plan is for Wasco County, just so you all are aware. In January, we did this together with, hosted a great lunch with Scott, and we had a great turnout of people really just coming to hear, what was new and what we were going to be planning this year. So we rolled this plan out. You have a individual living in your community, Jeanette, who is your first volunteer community educator for us, and she'll be kicking off a series of education classes, but she was able to go with us this year to our Community Leaders Summit that we held in Atlanta. And there we bring together volunteers from all over the country to really get them motivated and trained to start going back to their communities and sharing this information. So we were thrilled to have someone from your county with us. We are aiming to do at least 1 to 2 presentations every month in communities. So that's where we ask for some of your help. If you know a business, if you have connections with different organizations that you think could benefit from maybe a class in our Empowered Caregiver series, an awareness presentation. We would love those connections to help get this information more into your community. At this time, we're also recruiting volunteers, so we are looking to add a couple more community educators and community representatives, and possibly a support group leader. So if you know of people that might be interested in that, we would love to talk to them about volunteer opportunities. And we're also doing, you'll see throughout here, different blitzes. So this month it'll be the end of this month into the early March, but we're doing a faith outreach blitz. So in all of our counties. So we will be really, it's a multi-tiered approach, but really targeting getting a lot of resources into our faith communities so that they know where to turn as their members of their churches have issues that they see around dementia or Alzheimer's. So it looks similar in March with those presentations, volunteer recruitment, but in this month we do have that facts and figures launch. So we'll be sharing that information with you all. And then the Empowered Caregiver series kicks off with our building foundations of caregiving. These look similar, so I'm now just going to point out the things that are different. In April, we're going to be hosting a Columbia Gorge Community Leader Luncheon and Volunteer Orientation. So these are the volunteers that we've brought together in the last couple of months that are going to be acting on behalf of the Alzheimer's Association to really get them empowered and ready to go. We're going to be doing a healthcare provider outreach blitz. And then our class that month will be supporting independence. In May, we will be calling on all of you to join us for our Oregon Advocacy Day. This year, you will all benefit by the virtual piece of this and not have to travel anywhere because the Salem, our capital, is still under construction. So we will be once again doing it virtually, but we'd love to have your county represented in those meetings. And our class that month will be communicating effectively. June is Alzheimer's Brain and Awareness Month. We will also be doing one of our virtual trainings for Memories in the Making, which is a watercolor program. I can get you more information on that. We are hopefully going to be hosting a Healthy Brain Symposium to talk about those 10 healthy habits. And this is the month that we focused on with Randy last year. The Longest Day is a fundraiser for us. It happens in June around the longest day of the year. And our class will be responding to dementia-related behaviors. Looking into Q3, we have AAIC for All, which is something I will make sure to get information out into your community, but that is that international research conference. And there is a virtual component that is brought to all communities. So if research excites you, I would definitely tap into that and join that event so that you can hear the latest and greatest that came out of that conference. We will also be doing our Exploring Care and Support Services class that month. And in July, we start launching a new program that we're bringing, which is Brain Health Lunch and Learn virtual series. So each month, we're going to be focused on a different topic. We will do this virtually, and we're going to have guest speakers that support those. So in July, we'll be doing nutrition and aging. In August, we'll be doing sleep and brain health. And September, we'll be talking about the impact of Alzheimer's in the workplace. You will see our class for August is Understanding Alzheimer's and Dementia. And then in September, we will be hosting a mini McGinty again in your community. And then we're almost there. Q4. So in Q4, we will be working with first responders and doing a first responder outreach blitz. We'll be doing our class Managing Money. And then our Brain Health Lunch and Learn will be around fall prevention. In November, we'll be focusing on self-care for caregivers and that caregiver burnout. And then in December, managing holiday stress and ending the year on a positive note. In November, you'll also see the 27th Annual McGinty Conference. This is something that is, just because we do the mini McGinty in your community, that is something that is available to everyone. We generally have between 350 to 500 people with us at the convention center. The first 250 family caregivers get to come for free due to a grant that we have. So we will push that out into your community. Business caregivers would love to have those free spots. And then we wrap up the calendar year with our Dementia Conversations class. So this is just a very quick overview of a lot of the resources we're bringing to your county. We are grateful to work with partners like Scott and everyone who has come to the table. because I will say, when we look at this, Wasco County of the 7 counties is probably the one that is moving the fastest and has the most resources that are out there because of the great work of the people at the table already. So I'm excited to be working with you all and kind of bringing this forward. And we started with our mission, but our vision is even simpler, kind of on that path, a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementia. So that was talking a lot at you very fast. But I do want to give some more time for questions or thoughts or things that you would like to see in your community that we can start figuring out how to incorporate into some of these quarterly plans.
Just a quick note, make sure that you get all of those dates and events and all of that to us so we can get them on the calendar.
Okay.
And help with those factors. I know Scott's really good, but if we've got someone right out of the gate getting that to us, then we can get it on the calendar even quicker.
Sounds great.
And we want to help. We want to help. So that's just my bottom words right there.
I love that. And just a selfish plug back to you. We have recently started adding that depth of joining some of these chambers in the area. And by far, you all have one of the best chambers that we've seen across the state. So we are thrilled to be part of your
Tell my
chamber.
team that. They need to hear that now and
Yes,
then.
you guys
So,
have a
yeah.
lot of great resources and easy to connect. And even I got my email to create my website and I went and I was like, well, somebody created a lot of this for us and it looks really good.
Yes, they do their homework before
Yeah.
they send that little note. So I'm
Yes.
so glad.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. So Dan, you have a question for us.
Thank you, Lisa. I noticed one of the earlier slides, a higher incidence associated with Latino population. Are there particular avenues of outreach to our Latino population in Wasco County through the growers, through other organizations?
At this point, we haven't started a lot of that outreach. However, that is absolutely something that we would love to engage in. A lot of times when we start to work with a lot of our populations, we need a trusted partner, that is able to help us bring that information into the community. So by all means, help us, connect us with somebody, and we would love to bring that information. I know that we did have Scott, at our last meeting, we had an individual there that was interested in bringing some more Spanish speaking information into the community. So for sure, that is absolutely something we want to do. And a lot of our classes are even available in Spanish and resources as well.
That's awesome.
And Dan, we're aware that we're putting together a steering committee, and we, like Tracy said, we're trying to make sure we get representation from the Hispanic community. A natural would be next door, but the plate is pretty full right now with other issues they're dealing with. So, but we're aware of that, and if you, like Tracy said, if you have any ideas, we'd be glad to hear those, so we can make sure we reach out to that population.
We can get some.
Lisa George at the college. I can connect. We don't have her email.
The other thing is we do have somebody who is at our own public health who is bilingual and very connected. And then we have a couple others in our community who work a lot with the businesses that are Latino and bilingual. So that's something we can also help and connect. So yes, when we're ready, just let us know. We can reach out to those people and see if that's something that they're passionate about. Between all of the people on this screen, I know we each know at least 2 or 3 that are passionate in getting that information to our Latino community. So we'll work with you on that.
I can't find my raise hand button, so let me just jump in here. Got a couple questions. I'll throw them all out at once and then let you take them. First, this one kind of goes more for Scott. Is the support group at the Veterans Center open to everyone? And if I go to a doctor for annual screening, does that have any kind of screening for Alzheimer's? Is that put into there? You were looking at the things that related to Alzheimer's. Smoking was one. Is alcohol another? And lastly, where does the name McGinty come from? If you can remember those, you've got pretty good mental health.
I'm writing them down. Yes, I do think the support group is open to all, but I'll let Scott say more about that. You're on mute, Scott. You're still on mute. I don't, Lisa, can we get him off mute? Let's see. I think he's saying yes, absolutely. Scott, you're on mute if you can hear me.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's another. What were the first two questions again, Phil?
The first one is around the support group.
Oh,
I think
yes.
so.
The first one is yes, it's open to anybody in the community. Haley, who's the, works out there at the Oregon Veterans Home, is always trying to promote it and trying to get more people involved. Nice thing is that it's both the one who's living with dementia and the caregiver, and they kind of separate so those who are caring for someone with dementia can have that conversation support among themselves, and those who are living with dementia can have activities supervised. And I know that Alzheimer's Association has similar things, and that can happen in the community too. But yes, it's open to anyone, and Haley would, and they have the capacity to take more people. Okay, second question was
Around annual screening, the memory care. Where is it?
Oh,
I can take that.
yeah, and I can give my own experience too, but go ahead, Tracy.
So it is, I wouldn't say it's part of normal practice, but it is becoming more part of normal practice. One of the things that we do at the Alzheimer's Association every year, in addition to that advocacy day I talked about in Salem, we take people to Washington, D.C. every year. And every year there's a couple different things we're advocating for. And years ago, it was the code so that doctors would be able to reimburse for that. Because without being reimbursed for that, they absolutely weren't doing it. So yes, there is a memory kind of screening component when I believe when you get to 65, I think, but I'll get more information on that. But there is a code now that can be done by doctors and should be part of that regular visit. But Scott, by all means, share about, is it your visit or what you know about it too?
So
Yep, there you go.
one of the things is that on your wellness exam, annual Medicare wellness exam, they should have a little piece in there. And from my experience, they will do the old, I'll give you 3 words to remember. And then, 10 minutes later, they ask you what those 3 words are. And so from my experience, I don't listen to anything else that the doctor says, because I'm trying to remember those 3 words so I can pass the test at the end. So, but they do have, and if you ask, they have a short little 5-minute MOCA test that you can provide. But the key thing is that, maybe Tracy can speak to this, is that they're researching a blood test that has some initial success, and that could be much more effective than a verbal test with your provider. But I don't know. So that's something we can look forward to, I hope.
Yes, that broke probably a couple of years ago at AIC. There's a lot of research being done around blood biomarkers and this blood test. I do think it will be coming sooner than I think we had initially thought. One of the things that we'll be doing in Salem this year, and the legislative support that we're asking for, is around a blood biomarker option here in Oregon. It is through American Cancer Society is bringing it, and we are supporting the work because we know how important this is going to be in the future to early detection and treatment for Alzheimer's. So you'll see more information, and if you participate in our virtual advocacy day, that will be one of the asks that we are asking from our Oregon legislators here.
Okay, Tracy, those are my 2 questions. You got the rest.
Alcohol is that it is not on that 10 healthy habits, as you pointed out. Smoking is there. I don't know that there is enough. There is some alcohol related dementias that we've heard and discussed and talked about. I would say the best thing there is in moderation. But I also think that many things, when you are working with the right doctor, you start to rule out a lot of things before you ever get to that diagnosis. So sometimes alcohol can play a role in things. And by limiting and taking that out, that can improve some things. It could be a urinary tract infection. It could be a whole different set of different things that could be affecting memory or cognition. So although we don't see it there, I would say the best research and studies out there right now talk about it in moderation. And then the last question was around McGinty and where did that name come from? So that was Dr. Dean McGinty. And Dr. Dean McGinty was a doctor in the Portland area, and he was, so actually one of my board members, he was a doctor for her mother. And he really just, so think about 30 years ago, we're still not talking about Alzheimer's and dementia, where doctors are not talking about it on a regular basis right now. This doctor was taking time with families on his evenings and weekends to talk about some of the drugs that were available for symptoms of the disease, to talk about what the next steps look like, to do education. So he was really just a pioneer in his time. We wanted to recognize him. So that's where we started. We took his name. And then when we decided to do these smaller conferences, we were like, Mini McGinty. And then we kind of fell in love with that name. So we kept going with it. So I think that was the 4 questions. Other questions for us or thoughts?
Well, then one comment is that this must have been 30, 35 years ago, when my mom had Alzheimer's and I was caring for her till we moved to the Columbia Basin, is that we couldn't find any resources at that time. We didn't know where to go. I think we ended up going into Portland to go to some kind of presentation or conference. And so things have changed significantly, I think, since all the work of the Oregon Alzheimer's Association to get the word out but we still have a lot of work to do, and that's what we're working on.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think we have a ton of work to do. I always say to our staff, we need to do more today than we did yesterday. And one of the things that, we're trying to work ourselves out of the job would be the ultimate thing. But we always hear, I wish I knew about you when, or you're the best kept secret. So one of my challenges to you all is help us multiply that. Be force multipliers with us, whether you share those facts and figures, you open the pathway to a presentation. You never know who is going to be touched by this disease. And we really all have a reason to be the face of this disease and helping with brain health or those living with the disease.
I think
Thank
it's
you.
phenomenal, the work that you are doing. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for this.
No, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity this morning.
I just think of how much more we know now than we did 20 years ago,
Yeah.
or even 30 and 40 years ago. It's amazing. And so we do appreciate all the work, being able to support and help and educate. We do appreciate that. I don't see any other questions, so I am going to give you all 2.5 minutes. That's enough to get a cup of coffee, by the way, or run across the room to your desk. So anyway, but Tracy, thank you so much. Scott, thank you so much. Thank you for your passion and your work in this area. It is essential and instrumental to what our society and our community especially. So thank you. And just whatever you guys need, just holler at us and we will help with that. But with
Thank
that,
you.
everybody drive safe. Looks like we have lots of closures and delays out there. We have weather coming. I'm still looking for it. I haven't seen it yet. I've told it's coming. So anyway, everybody be safe out there. Check in on your neighbors, just in case, especially our elderly. They might be really needing something and couldn't leave. So check in on them and be their hero today. And with
Are
that,
the local schools closed?
Yes, they are just announced a closure. They were delayed last night, and they have now announced that Hood River, North Wasco County, South Wasco County, and Mid-Columbia Adventist are closed, and then numerous other schools in the gorge are on a delay. So they are expecting really bad weather, and as we know, it's harder to change that at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock after everybody's at school to get them home safely. So they've just made that judgment call. So
We've done the same in Portland right now. So my kids
yes,
are waking up to hear that school's canceled. So they're thrilled.
I saw a lot of those, and I know I have a crew at the Sportsman Show, so I'm like, have fun, guys. Could be quiet for you today or not, depends. And so, but everybody have a great Thursday. Have an amazing weekend. Tomorrow is Valentine's, just in case some of you on the screen forgot. Tomorrow is the 14th. Go get something for your partner, and be that be that person. Don't be the person who forgot. Okay, we'll just say that. Anyway, you guys all take care, and we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.